seems to die when he sees your eyes running through the night. Only takes him back, always side to side, crowding through the night. Run, you can run, but you'll never hide. The walls are coming, you're running. The walls are coming, you're running. The walls are coming, you're running. The walls are coming.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Extra Time, the final word on the weekend's action. And that weekend's action included Wolves' unbeaten run for 2026 coming to an abrupt end at the Etihad Stadium at the hands of the citizens of Manchester City. 2-0 it finished in the end. It doesn't tell the whole story, but we're going to get stuck into it. We've got a great panel. Just to give you an idea on tonight's show, we're going to be obviously talking about the game, all the things learned from the matches, all the takeout points, man of the match performances. Did Rob Edwards get the starting 11 wrong? We're going to obviously be having a delve into the January transfer window because there's only like about a week left. A little bit of a touch on there's a meeting coming up in the next 10 days, which is the Wolves Fan Alliance meeting with Nathan Shi, just to tell you a little bit more about that and get your input. We'll be looking ahead to the next game that we face, which is Bournemouth at Molineux. And then you guys can also ask the pundits and our fans, pundits on tonight, their questions, their Q&A. And hopefully you'll enjoy it. Like the video. If you're new, give us a subscribe. Already over 100 of you watching live, which is fantastic. We've just gone. So let's bring on our first of our four fan pundits tonight. You'll remember him. I had a very great day with him yesterday. Welcome to the legend that is Tuber Wolves, as my dad calls him, Eric, as you know him, Charismatic Craig. Hi, Craig.
Hiya, Dave. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. It seems only 5 minutes since I saw we had a wonderful day.
I've not seen you for ages, have I? Yeah. All good here.
The first thing I want to ask is your band that you were going off to this morning that you were teaching. You had a good rehearsal with them, yeah?
Yeah. They work really hard, Dave. They're not used to the level. I'm taking two bands at the moment. One at elite level. Yeah. One at elite level in Bristol, and one in a small village in Shropshire. And they're just absolutely brilliant to work with. Really enthusiastic. So having a great time.
Fantastic. We'll get more into all of that later, and of course our day yesterday and how we finished our day, because we did say on the Craig was on the fan reaction. We said we're going for something to eat. We'll let you know what we did with the rest of our day. Okay. Before I bring on our other guests, please can I say a big thank you again to the amazing people at Creation Wolf who power tonight's show. They deliver the industry's and latest and most advanced digital solutions because a few local companies and national companies that are now using them. If you've got a company or a brand, they'll take your online and digital capability to the next level. You can find them on creationwolf.com. The link is in the description below this video. And they are mad Wolves fans as well. And we love them to bits. Right. Beg your pardon. Next up, can I bring on someone else that you would have seen on the fan reactions from time to time, but I think this is the debut here on Extra Time Live. It's Passionate Paul from New Zealand, but not in New Zealand. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, no, good. Thanks, mate.
Fantastic. Where in the world are you at the moment?
I'm in, I think it's Moortown in Leeds.
Right, so you're up north at the moment. That's because your young lad, Dan, is training with a professional club in their academy and everything. He's doing really well.
Yeah. He's trialing with the club up north. He's known him since he was about 9, but we come back every year. We had about 8 weeks between August and October, and then they've invited him back to trial for 14 weeks. So, yeah.
Well, they must think a lot of him, and he's a midfielder, isn't he?
Yeah, plays anywhere through to midfield, 6, 8, or 10. He's sort of a bit like his hero Ruben Neves, but he's a playmaker. He's sort of João Moutinho, Ruben Neves, that sort of player. big voice, and pretty creative. So
absolutely fine. Well, hopefully one day, who knows, he could be doing the Martino or Neves role for Wolves.
His dream is captain New Zealand and captain Wolves. That's his dream. So,
and a great man once said, "Dreaming is for free, mate. If you haven't got a dream, you can't achieve it, can you?"
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Fantastic. So you'll see Dan on some of the reaction videos, possibly after the Bournemouth game. Next up, returning this week, not been on for a little while. It's Aidan. How you doing, Aidan?
How we doing, fellas? You all right?
Good. How are you, mate? How's your week been?
Yeah, no, it's been all right. Recently unemployed, so kind of just doing what I can. Yeah, upset about the game yesterday, but it is what it is. Man City away is always going to be a tough one.
So what is it you do, or what is it you're looking to do? Because there could be someone that's watching this that might be thinking, I need one of those.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of like an aspiring filmmaker, video editor sort of thing. I recently graduated at Manchester Met University, and I did media production there. So ever since that in the summer, I've been looking for work, but I've just picked up part-time jobs here and there. Recently worked at Winter Wonderland in London, so that was a bit
fantastic. So you're both filming and production and all that sort of jazz. Fantastic.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you'll be able to help us out in some way or form. So we'll have a chat about that, which is great. Great to have you on, Aidan. And making his Always Wolves full debut tonight, it is Ben Whitehouse. Hello, Ben.
Hello. Hi, all. Good to be here.
It's an absolute pleasure for you to come on and make your debut. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tell everyone a little bit about you and how you got to be supporting Wolves.
Well, it's my dad's fault. It's my dad's fault. Dad from Dudley. Lived down south most of the time, but just got to university up in Warwick, so a bit closer to the Holy Land of Molineux. Quite an arduous trip, 3.5 hours up and down from Kent to get there, which has been very rewarding sometimes and absolutely awful some other times.
Yes.
But yeah, we just got back to university after Christmas, watched the game yesterday, watched Man United beat Arsenal today, which was very entertaining as well.
An entertaining game. And what are you studying, mate?
I'm doing sociology up here.
So deep. See, this is why you're good at analysis. Now, I just want to give a little bit of a plug for Ben, because Ben is one of our writers on alwayswolves.co.uk, and Ben has wrote the things learnt for us this week, and he's got 5 things there. I'm sure he's going to analyse a little bit this when he's talking about it. Talks about the unbeaten record compared to last time, Gomez and Andre, offensive shortcomings, where from here. Article by Ben Whitehouse. I say he writes regularly along with our art thing, and he's an excellent writer, and I felt it's about time that he came and made a debut on the actual main channel as well. So, but do check that out. If you go on to alwayswolves.co.uk, it's a really great read, and we've got some fantastic fan writers that write for us after every game. And if you want to get involved in being a fan writer for alwayswolves.co.uk, you can just get in touch via the socials, or you can email Emma and the producer at admin@alwayswolves.co.uk. Loads of people saying hello to Aidan and Ben here as well, which is fantastic. Rebecca says, I think this is regards to Dan. Fantastic, live your dreams. And then we've got quite a few people saying hello to you as well, Ben there. Hey up, Benny Boss, bro, you well from Jess, which is fantastic. And also good to see you, tuber chap, buddy chum, as well. So brilliant. We've got a really fantastic panel tonight, and we're going to get stuck in. And I think, Ben, I've just been talking about your article, and obviously it's a fantastic article to read, as I say, but let's just ask you, and then I'm going to go to Aidan after you, if that's all right with you Paul and Craig, go to the two younger lads at the moment because we haven't had them for a little while. Ben, if you just want to give your thoughts on, and then I'll come to you with the same question, Aidan, about Wolves generally, the changes that have been made. Rob Edwards, obviously unbeaten. We lost the game yesterday, and any points that you really want to focus in on of what you've seen in the last few games and from the City match. So Ben, if you go first.
Well, I mean, generally it's not great, is it? We've been kind of left out to dry by the owners. You could argue the amount of high quality creative talent that we've lost recently. Cunha, Aït-Nouri, in recent years, Neto, Neves, losing this amount of players. The whole idea of being a club who has to sell to buy is always going to be tricky for the fans. But there have been so many clubs who historically have had it's a sort of type of club where you have a star man, and it's the age-old debate of, do you sell them and then buy 4 or 5 20 million pound players? And that works more often than not, but it doesn't work 5 or 6 seasons in a row because you run out of players who are high quality and you end up with a side that's fairly mediocre and in the situation that we're in. However, that being said, this season, in recent weeks under Rob Edwards, there does seem to be some galvanized spirit. They do seem to be looking upwards. They're more positive. Obviously, Mateus Mane from within isn't a new signing, but he's invigorated the team massively because he's actually got some sort of attacking threat. But yeah, recently against Man City, you're not expecting anything going into the game, and we got out what we gave in, which was not much ambition, even from the initial lineup. But you've kind of got to roll with the punches at this point. And with relegation all but kind of guaranteed, I don't sound very optimistic, but you're kind of just looking for positive performance rather than results, because you know that you're not going to go to the Etihad and beat Man City 3-0 just because we've been on a decent run of form. So you've just got to hope that they are a bit more solid and able to kick on from here, I think.
Absolutely. And Aidan, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more, really. I mean, genuinely, like, it's just been a poor season, hasn't it? It's been unacceptable. Like, to have 8 points at this stage it's a disgrace. And, I just hope everyone can kind of keep that pressure on Fossen. I mean, there's been kind of less of it, obviously, in the last few games, last month, or whatever. Because of the turn in form, but it's nice that we're finally able to compete, which is the bare minimum. For a team who's been in the Premier League for how many years now, like 8. Yeah, but I mean, we look a lot better. Going to Man City is always going to be a tough game. It's nice to not get battered as we have done in the last few years at Man City, and in the second half we were a lot better. I think they just had too much quality. The goals were very well taken. Their defence was brilliant, and the goalkeeper as well. So, look, I mean, the season's it's too little too late now, but, it's nice to finally see us actually kind of competing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that is obviously 8 points isn't great, but we were only on 2 points until recently. I mean, the start of this year has been a lot better, but it's a bit too late. Passionate Paul. On the game yesterday, mate, and we will talk to you a little bit about the Wolves women as well later, because I know you went today to watch the girls too. So thanks for coming on and also being able to give a little bit of an update on that. What's your takeaway from the game against Man City yesterday?
Interesting game. I mean, I obviously saw afterwards with Craig, and I'd have to agree. I don't know what it is about Edwards, but he's got into this habit of just picking the same side pretty much every game. And I know you kind of want consistency, but as a manager and a good manager, you really need to look at who you're playing and what you want to achieve. And the fact is that on 8 points and with not that many games left, we really have got to start, which is what I said after the Newcastle game, which is, you've got to start being a bit more positive about playing in games. And I just think we went into the game negative, didn't understand the lineup at all. I'm not sure what he was hoping to achieve. I'm not sure what we were hoping to get out of the game, but a draw wasn't ever going to be good enough. I know it's Man City. I mean, let's be honest. It doesn't make any difference who the team is. The fact is, when you get to a certain stage, you've either got to throw everything at it or you've got to just give up and give in. So from my point of view, we needed to be braver. We needed to be, in my terms, more passionate in the game. There's a saying in New Zealand. There's a couple of sayings in New Zealand. One is mana, which means spirit. It means heart. What's in here, ticker. And then you've got mongrel, and we're just not playing with enough mongrel, and we're not playing with enough mana. And funnily enough, Mane plays with mana, and goes out, leaves everything on the pitch, and chases people down. The Newcastle game, we'd actually played pretty well. We played with more passion, and we were at people, and I thought that was a really good thing, and I thought we'd take that into Man City. Unfortunately, we didn't. And the 2 or 3 players that really don't show any of those characteristics are Chachua, Huang, and Arias. And all 3 of them seem to be starting on a regular basis. And I just think, I don't understand why we didn't look at it and think, well, why don't we just go hit them with Tolu and Strand Larsen up front? Why don't we actually go for the game? If we start losing, well, you can do whatever you want to do. But the fact is, that first half was just so tepid. We just didn't do anything. And we kind of deserved what we got. And I think at half time, it was too late. And although we came out and played well in the second half, we changed some things. We just, we just weren't at them. We weren't at the races yesterday. We didn't show mana.
I love that, mate. That's a new word that we've got in the vocabulary today, and I love the way you've put that across. Craig, you've obviously had a little bit of time to reflect on yesterday. I think pretty much Paul's echoing a lot of what you said after the match yesterday and what we talked about. On reflection now, having sort of like 24 hours to think about it and everything, how would you assess yesterday? Anything you would change or add to what you said?
Yeah, Paul's just absolutely nailed it. There's nothing worse in my life than having to go to war with cowards or people that are not willing to fight by the side of you. And I thought that Rob handed Pep 3 points before the game had even started yesterday, and that's I like Rob, and I like what he's done to the side, but I don't expect our head coach to start giving points away by not having any offensive aggression in the side at all. What's this thing about Wang? I just don't get it. If you're playing him in an 8-10 role, then I sort of get it, because he really tries to work hard. But as a goal threat, as an offensive threat, he's absolutely useless. And we saw that yesterday. In the first half, he may well have not been on the field. And I moaned, as you know, Dave, about us starting Larsen, because Larsen on the whole has been really, really poor this season, starting Wang and Hoover, which meant that Wolves were effectively starting all the games 8, just 8 players on the field. So I am really, really sort of disappointed with Rob. I thought he got it 100% wrong yesterday. And then to give that first goal away when Nunes literally showed Hugo where he was going to go, and he still went down that side. And Bueno's a better defender than that, and he switched off. And then to allow a player to come from the edge of the penalty area onto the ball and beat 4 defenders to get a strike in, unforgivable. So I guess yesterday for me, I was disappointed because I thought we showed nothing at all, especially in the first half. Now the moment Rob brought some offensive players on, and we got at them, Manchester City looked shaky, but they were 2-0 up, so they'd won the game.
Similar to Liverpool as well, with 2-0 up,
well,
almost identical.
Dave, we were there in the first half at Anfield. We absolutely were inept, and yet in the second half it was a completely different game, and Liverpool were in absolute panic. And Manchester City had some really hairy moments when we finally got what I call a balanced side on the pitch. So yesterday, I'm afraid he's 100% on Rob.
Yeah, I think that's the general consensus of what everyone pretty much feels yesterday. I think when the starting 11 came out, we were all like, okay, But let's we've got a couple of phone-in video contributions now from our international fans. First of all, we've got Dave from New York Wolves, and then we've got Dinny from Ireland. So let's. I haven't watched these videos, so they're completely fresh to me, as well as everyone here watching on the panel and you guys in the chat. We've got 200 of you watching live at the moment. So here's Dave from New York Wolves.
New York Wolves here, coming to you from a freezing cold Connecticut. It's about 20 below Celsius. Although people out in the Midwest, that's like summer for them, so I shouldn't complain too much. We're it's getting ready for a foot and a half of snow tomorrow, so that'll be fun. But a couple of thoughts on the Man City game. You go to the Etihad expecting to not get anything, but with our predicament, I don't know that anybody's really holding out any realistic hope of staying up. But if we are, we've got to get something out of every game. We've got to hope to win every game if there's going to be any chance of staying up. So that said, it's disappointing. I saw what Edward said about the lineup. I think that did make sense to not have an out-and-out striker so that we could be a little stronger in midfield. So I like the game plan. The problem is, their 2 goals came at pretty much the worst possible time. What was it, 6 minutes in, right at the beginning, just to, get rid of any butterflies they might have had after losing 2 in a row. Knock our confidence, which had been riding pretty high. And then just as we started to get back into it towards the half, and you think, wow, this would be really great if we could nick one here, they go and get the second and, just knock the wind out of our sails. So timing of the goals was pretty awful. You got to say maybe Mosquera should have gone to the ball for the first one and cleared that and not let whoever it was get his foot in. But second half, credit Edwards for making some changes, and I think we gave a good go of it. We looked dangerous. We had a few chances at the bar, just couldn't get it over the line. And you do have to say, did Man City just take their foot off the accelerator a bit because they were 2-0 up against the team that's bottom of the table? So although we had some good chances and played well, were City really trying hard, or could they have given us more problems? Not to sell us short, I don't mean to be too negative about that, but bottom line, we lost a game we'd expect to lose. We weren't overawed. We weren't overrun. It wasn't an embarrassing scoreline or anything, and I think we did have some good moments second half. So I think it just shows that the team is a lot better than it used to be. I think I've said in these videos a lot that 2 points bottom of the table after 18 games. This team's better than that. This team has more to it than that, and we finally started to show it. So that's good. It's too little, too late, unfortunately, to keep us up. But the first aim is get over 11 points. That's mission number 1, and then just continue building this momentum towards the end of the season. finish the season with their heads held high, saying we gave a good run of it in the second half of the season, and then, get that momentum for what looks like the inevitable championship season next season. So that's it. Some good signs, good play. Mane's still looking dangerous. I think everyone had a good game. Mosquera looks pretty dangerous when going up as well. I think he may have had more shots than the rest of the team, actually. So I think we got some really positive signs in the team. Some people said it was a good time to play City, but, considering they just lost 2. But honestly, I think that's a really bad time to play City because, let's be honest, they didn't turn into a bad team overnight. And they're going to be bruised and wounded coming into today. And they looked up for it. And they started really strong, were chasing us down. And, when they scored early, you think, this could be a really embarrassing result. But, credit to us for hanging on and, staying tight until about half time and playing well second half. So take the positives on to the next one and up the Wolves.
That's Dave. Now we've got Dinny from Ireland.
Fear Wolves might actually be going down. Hello Wolves fans, Dinny here in Cork in Ireland, just reflecting on a loss to Man City. I fear Wolves might actually be going down this season, lads. They really needed the 3 points today. Bit of a surprise with the starting lineup, with not so surprised to not see Strand Larson up top anymore, but not putting Tolu up there either. Was a bit funny. At times there was kind of like, was there 2 up front, 3 up front? Don't think Mane is great when he plays further forward. He's better a little far back, isn't he? And poor old John Arias, he just hasn't set this league alight and hasn't set Wolves on fire either. Man City's first goal, I guess it was a good ball. Sorry. It was a good... Nearly got sick there. It was a good ball in by Mateus Nunes, that's his name. And yeah, nice finish, I guess. And then I suppose would have been great to go into the break 1-0 down only. Wolves really were not great in that first half. Man City didn't have to try too hard. And then Semenyo gets a nice goal. He's playing really well for City at the moment. In at the break, 2-0 down. For the second half then, you know what? Wolves were okay. They huffed and they puffed. A lot of corners. I think they equalled Man City for shots in the end. The comms I was listening to said Wolves had their first touch in the Man City box on the 55th minute. Don't know how true that is, but the commentator said it. As I said, no, Wolves huffed and puffed. They fought here and there for it. Could have got a goal, I suppose, but I always got the feeling that Man City never really got out of first, second, third gear. Kept Haaland on the bench, resting him. So look, it's sad to say, but there's so many games left and it's kind of petering out already. It's disappointing that nothing's happening in January. No players coming in or out. It's kind of like, what are Wolves planning for? Like, they're not planning for a Premier League survival push. It's surely for the Championship, so it's a bit weird. The match overall, can only really give it a 3 out of 10. It was really all in Man City's hands. And I think my phone is slipping and it's going to fall. There it goes. Don't buy your sticky phone thing from Temu. That's all I can say. What did I say? Did I say a 3 out of 10, a 4 out of 10? Something like that. And man of the match, João Gomez. He just, you know what? If I was in a World War trench, man, I'd want him alongside me. He'll fight and fight and fight, no matter how grim and dire the circumstances are. So that's it. Look, on to the next one. I think it's Bournemouth. Sure, look, we're just ticking off these games as we go, aren't we? God bless everyone.
I absolutely loved it. He's such a great character, such a great bloke, and yeah, he always, no matter how bad things are or good, he always makes you laugh. He puts on, and you know that's great. Love him. So anyway, we've some video contributions there. I'm going to go back to Ben and Aidan now. Ben, first of all, let's focus on the City game. As I say, if you just want to talk through a couple of main points. I mean, you talked about Gomez and Andre on your article and offensive shortcomings. Do you just want to focus in a little bit of the points on those that you were making on those, please, for everyone?
So Gomez and Andre, they kind of explain themselves, don't they? Whenever we have the midfield and it's one of them isn't in it, even if you've got Gomez, and if we had Manetzi or someone like that, it would have been, you always think, well, he should be playing both of them if he can, because individually they're so good, but as soon as they get put together, they're a different force, because they complement each other so perfectly, because João Gomez is so good at winning the ball back and taking it forward by himself, and Andre kind of reminds me of Moutinho a bit, the way he just kind of screens everything seems to go through him, and he's constant. It's like he's always in the right place, exactly where you need him to be. Which is why I lament that neither of them will be a Wolves player next season. You'd have to presume, because they're both clearly far too good for the situation that we're in. But the offensive shortcomings is so clear to all of us as fans, and in January they don't really seem to be doing anything. I think on the lineup for yesterday, having no recognised number 9, not having Strand Larsen or Arakadori up front, was obviously very weird. But the only reason that you can kind of justify it from Edwards is if you think that we're not going to control a game against Man City, so we're going to be counter-attacking, so we're going to be having to break away at pace. So not having one of these big, strong, muscular number 9s who's winning headers kind of makes sense in that regard. But then when you just look at the quality of the team, the only people you've got left who can break away at pace ends up being Hwang and an 18-year-old who is great, but he's just come through the academy, and you're going to put him up front at the Etihad because that's all we've got. Like I said in my article, I like comparing the games that we've played against City to the other games we've played against City.
Yeah, and that's really interesting, because as part of this article that Ben's done, and say do check it out on alwayswolves.co.uk, he does compare yesterday's game to previous games as part of that, don't you, Ben?
Yeah, so me and my dad went to the 4-0 battering at the start of the season, mainly to pay our respects to Diogo Jota, but the match was so much worse than it was yesterday. But it's also, whenever we play Man City, I'm sure a lot of us as Wolves fans can relate. We always think back to the good old glory days where we were beating them every time we played them.
Yeah,
and
there was a chant that rang out yesterday. Champions of Asia, you'll never sing that. That rang out around the Etihad yesterday.
See, I think back to times like that, and I think we went to the Etihad and we played 2 up front, but the 2 up front was Jimenez and Adama, who broke at pace, and we had long balls going forwards, and we had the quality of the team to be able to play in that system. But it's like whatever system Edwards would choose to play, the personnel just isn't there, because you're not going to have Strand Larsen doing 30-yard runs straight down the middle like Adama would. So the people you're left with is Hwang Hee-chan, who isn't capable of that either, but he's the next best thing we've got.
And Adama's just signed for West Ham. Of course, just a little question for you, because obviously you talk about playing Andre and Gomez together. There is an argument that actually, if you want to be more offensive, that we've actually looked better when only one of them's been in that sort of pivot role at the back. And you've seen the likes of Mane and Arias have more of a free role just behind the strikers. And we've created more opportunities, scored goals. And I guess when they play, because I always think Andre and Gomez, they are really, really good players. And, you know, they're quality players. And they clearly won't be here next year. But we're on 8 points and they've been playing together all season. So how do you sort of answer that when you sort of say that, you know, they've been playing together all season in midfield, and but we're only on 2 points until Rob changed the system and we played that anchor role where Andre was suspended, Gomez come in, and then he played Andre another game, and they played on their own. And obviously the last couple of games he's reverted, going back to them playing, and we've lost.
I think we've looked better in an offensive way playing against teams like West Ham when we've had Arias or Mane actually progressing the ball, because 90% of the time we're always facing backwards and moving backwards. But I also think that whenever we've been losing these matches, irrespective of how the rest of the team has performed, we've looked at João and Andre and gone, they're still performing the best out of the whole team, because the defense has been so shaky and the attack has offered little to nothing, and they've still been fighting. it's kind of having just two. I think they've benefited from having a third person. So when we've been playing five at the back and having three in midfield rather than just the two of them by themselves, I think having Mane or Arias as their kind of outlet has meant that we've moved up the pitch quicker and more effectively. But yeah, I just think the two of them when they're together, they seem more than some of their parts when they're individuals.
Okay, that's interesting. Aidan, I'd love to get your take on that. The Andre Gomez thing, of playing them together or playing just the one and having another more offensive player, more attack-minded midfield player. We're missing, I hate to say it, but we're missing Bellegarde because he's one person that will run with the ball. Hopefully he'll be he's close to coming back. Any thoughts on that? The Gomez, Andre playing together or playing on their own and playing an extra offensive midfielder, and any other things that you want to take out the game from yesterday?
Yeah, I suppose it kind of depends on the opposition and the teams we're playing. I think against Man City, you have every right to start Andre and João Gomez to be more, solid offensively, defensively. But, I remember it was at Everton away when it just wasn't working with Arias and he came off at half time, I think. And I think we immediately looked a better team in that second half.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, Bellegarde, miles better than Arias for that position. And I actually prefer Mane further forward. I know, Chuba, you think Mane's better, like a bit more in a defensive position. But yeah, I mean, they were a lot. I think they've definitely improved as a pair under Rob Edwards, but it's quite hard to tell at the minute, what's better without them two together, or with that additional attacker playing that kind of Andre or João Gomez position. But yeah, tough game yesterday. So, I don't know whether we played them two or the three. I don't know. It's hard to tell what the difference would have been.
Yeah, well said. And whilst we're talking about the game yesterday, there's another talking point that we do need to sort of just touch on a little bit more in depth. We didn't really touch on it too much in our reaction yesterday, but how refreshing, Paul, was it to see the referee go over, get sent to the monitor, and actually have the strength of character to go, do you know what? I've watched that and I'm sticking with my on-field decision. He's only a young referee. I think he's about 33. He's an ex-footballer as well, played for Stevenage. So he's played the game. First game he's ever reffed at a Premier League level at the Etihad with a home ground and Pep Guardiola just up the side up from him, and he stuck by his on-field decision, which for me was exactly the right decision. How refreshing was that, Paul? Because normally you're just going, oh, here we go, and he didn't.
Yeah, I think even more interesting from my perspective, because obviously I see sport over the other side of the world, and without putting too fine a point on it, people over where I live tend to have a larger set than over here. So for me, look, it wasn't just refreshing, it was how it should be. I mean, the ref is the ref at the end of the day. Sometimes we don't like the decisions, sometimes they go against us. But I do get a bit fed up, particularly with this kind of, let's have, VAR and let's just drill down to the nth degree and come up with exactly the same thing. It doesn't seem to make any sense. I mean, I obviously watch a lot of rugby coming from New Zealand, whether it's Super Rugby or international rugby, and it's used totally different. Even cricket is totally different. And it's a lot more on the referee than it is over here with football. So I'd have to say, A, it was refreshing, but B, what a set that lad had. And fair play to him. I thought it was absolutely the right decision. Didn't think it would go for us. But you'd love to see more of it, but I'm not sure the referees, in my experience in this country, stand by their decisions or stand by what they really believe has occurred.
Interesting. I just want to throw this open and into the chat. Give your thoughts on that. Throw this open on the refereeing to Craig, Ben, and Aidan. If you've got any of you three have got any thoughts on that yesterday, on how you felt about it.
Yeah, Dave. I mean, it's absolutely clear, isn't it, that refereeing standards have dropped under Webb. And the reason for that, of course, is that guy yesterday had played the game. And if you played the game, you understand how that sort of quick movement will throw your hands out naturally. Now, were his hands in an unnatural position? Well, when you talk to the numpties in the VAR box and the referees that have never played the game, yes, an unnatural position. But if you play the game and you turn like that, the only way that you can keep your balance is to put your arms in that position. And that lad clearly understood that. So in that second, his arms were in a natural position. It was a great decision. It was a decision that I thought wasn't going to go for us, because every other numpty referee would have just said, yeah, handball, no problem. And Howard Webb has done nothing for me to redress the simply dreadful standard of refereeing that we're seeing at the moment. And my view on that lad, he's probably going to turn out to be one of the world's best referees, because he's played the game.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think Ben and Aidan, have you got any thoughts or anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I was going to say, like, I just don't think any of them have the, they're just so scared of kind of, making like the decisions for themselves, like always checking VAR, just agreeing with anything that, the lads in Stockley Park, 1,000 miles away from the Etihad, have to say about it. And yeah, it was just obviously really refreshing to see, but just get rid of VAR's crap, ruins the game. I can't wait to have a season without it and away from the Premier League and all the corrupt nonsense.
Well, on that, Aidan, did you realise they've announced today they're bringing it into the Championship next year?
No, yeah,
I'm only joking. I'm only joking, mate. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. It would just be Wolves, wouldn't it? We will have a year without it.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, that was Ben, any thoughts for you? I mean, for me, I just thought, when we were standing there, I've stood there so many times in an away end or not knowing even what's going on, and then the ref going to the monitor, and then the normal thing is penalty to City, and he didn't, and I just, he's a new ref. I gave him a B out to a B rating in our action. Yeah, I just felt he was a breath of fresh air to actually stand by his conviction, and I wish more referees would do that, because I don't know why VAR sent him, because they should be sending the referee for a clear and obvious error, and it wasn't a clear and obvious error, and it just ended up stalling the game for 2 or 3 minutes.
I was very happy. I was completely in disbelief, to be honest, that they'd actually stood by their own convictions rather than just caving to, like Aidan said, the people in Stockley Park, thousands of miles away, have said. But just overall on VAR, I've just completely had enough of it. Even though they are starting to kind of vaguely get closer to the right decisions, and they've got all this semi-automated offside stuff. Firstly, the rules of having it, they can only overturn a clear and obvious error. I remember a few years ago when we were playing Newcastle, they used the technology to understand that there hadn't actually been a foul, but then they also said, it's not actually a clear and obvious error, so we're going to give the wrong decision anyway, which is just pure stupidity, because if you've got the technology, why wouldn't you use it to make the right decisions? But then also, it just ruins the games for the fans, because you're just sat there in sterile silence, waiting for them to come to a result that, especially as a Wolves fan, 90% of the time is going to go against you. So I was just in complete disbelief. I didn't think overall in the game he was great at refereeing it. I think he was quite harsh on us and quite quite quick to give yellow cards and things, but you know, it's his first game, he gets the benefit of the doubt. But to do that was very striking and tells you that realistically, as we've said, you should have people who have played the game, not just as the referee, but the people in the VAR room should be people who have played the game, because then you would not have, that would have been a 10-second check and they would have gone, yep, no, that's just natural. That's just how you play football and it's how people move. And you'd have been on your way.
Well said. And, you know, I'm glad that even though Match of the Day never spoke about Wolves at all, as usual, even when we win, it's always about how bad the other team is. They did actually give the refs some credit. And I read an article in the Telegraph, actually. Well, Emma read it to me. It was a really good article that was talking about how Pep Guardiola is the most important manager in the Premier League, how he's leading the way in football and things that he does, and how it's really important about him, and how it was extremely disappointing that he picked out a young referee that's come out and made that decision and basically lambasted him for not giving them the penalty and saying people won't forget who you are now for that. I thought that, and they did point that out in the Telegraph, and I thought it was a really important point because Pep Guardiola is very well respected in the game for what he's achieved and done, and he's a great manager and a great bloke. But I agree with the article. He let himself down a little bit there, let himself down by going in on the thing. So hopefully, with hindsight, he'll think about it. He'll think about that himself. So right, we're going to move on to what is the January transfer window at the moment. Of course, the January transfer window closes in exactly how many days' time is it? Let me just have a look. So the January transfer window closes it's a week tomorrow, so it's 8 days left of the January transfer window. So far we've had I think Molineux's obviously gone out. There's been lots of rumours and speculation regarding Agbadou and Besiktas. Wolves obviously wanting to recoup the money that they paid for him, and you know, which is fair enough. He was on the bench yesterday, Agbadou. He didn't come on. Lots of interest, of course, and speculation about Jurgen Strand-Larsen. There's Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Leeds, Forest, amongst others. Apparently, Leeds have had a £40 million bid or £33 million plus £6 million add-ons rejected. There's 8 days to go. I'll be very surprised if Jurgen Strand-Larsen is a Wolves player at the end of that. And then there's obviously links to a lot of other players. The one thing that Rob Edwards has been very keen to reinforce in the last couple of press conferences, and he's been asked about it by the journalists, is that he said that the players are focused. He's got no one banging on his door saying that they want to go. I know a lot of people say, oh, yeah, you know, they're looking to leave and stuff. And, you know, if an offer comes in, possibly they might do and their heads might be turned. But he's saying that none of the players are banging on his office door saying, get me out of here. And he's saying you can see that in the way they've stepped up in terms of the performances, the way they've been playing, that they're sticking together. But, of course, there's not been a lot of talk on incomings. We've been looking at the odd thing. Calvin Phillips has come up a couple of times, a player that's at City, that's not getting into their team, that's still only 30 years of age, ex-England international, has experience. I think I don't know whether it was Leeds or Burnley he went to. And Wolves are interested in bringing him in, whether he's on a loan or with a view to him being part of the Championship team or not. But he's also, Rob has said he expects that there's going to be some incomings in, but it's, I think what he said in the press conference as well, that the players that come in have to be the right fit for us now and for the future. And also he wants players to come that want to be here. And in the situation that Wolves are in, bottom of the table, 8 points, with Forest winning today, we're something like 17 points from safety. January is always a difficult window, isn't it? anyway, because like a lot of teams haven't done a lot of business. You've seen City that's done some business. You've seen West Ham that went early and then they brought in Adama Traore, but Crystal Palace have lost Gay to City as well. There's not been a lot of movement, but the last week tends to think the dominoes tend to start moving. I just want to get your thoughts, Paul, first of all, on where you expect us or hope for us to be at the end of the January window, because there is 8 days to go. I'm sure things are going to start moving outwards and possibly inwards, hopefully. But where do you want us to be at the end of that window, or expect us to be? And I'm going to come round to Craig, Ben, and Aidan to get your thoughts on that as well.
Oh, quite a difficult question from my point of view, and I'm probably not going to have anybody agree with me. But so I kind of don't quite understand why we're looking at players for the Championship. I understand we're probably going to get relegated, but
I'm not saying they are.
No. But I'm saying how do we know what we're going to look like in the Championship? We don't know who's going to come. We certainly don't know who's going to go. I mean, let's be honest about it. If we lose every game between now and the end of the season, we might not even have the same manager. So, like at the end of the day, you don't really know. The only thing I can look at is that I wouldn't touch people like Calvin Phillips with a barge pole, quite frankly, just because I think going back to you've got to have players with money. You've got to have players that are up for the fight. I don't think he's one of those guys, that would pull on the battle gear and get going. So I wouldn't look at that. And then when it comes to down with people leaving like Strand Larsen, yeah, look, there's media speculation. Of course there is. There always is. But if genuinely nobody is looking to leave, then I'm not sure how it benefits us to offload some of our better players. Now, I'm not saying Strand Larsen in recent times has been a fantastic player, but I mean, some of that comes down to the fact, yes, okay, it's only Shrewsbury, but he scores a hat-trick, and the next 2 games, we pretty much put him on the bench. So, from my point of view, I think we need to consolidate who we can. If there's anybody going out the door, then honestly, I'd be quite happy chit-chat going and whang. But really, we don't have that big a squad. So if it was me, I'd be looking at trying to consolidate what we've got and maybe look at some players that will assist us. Maybe you've got some Championship players with some fight that think, okay, our team is mid-table Championship. We're probably not going to go up. But this is a chance to show myself for the next, couple of months, 3-4 months, and join a really good side that's going to compete next year. So I don't know. I kind of look more around that. If we're certainly going to get rid of Strand Larsen, then quite frankly, I'd get Kalajic back. I mean, I talked to you last year, Dave, in August when Danny and I were over, and I just couldn't understand getting rid of Kalajic. Whilst he was a bit of a sick note, he was like Tolu in terms of when he was up front, he was running down people. He was trying to be physical. He was trying to win the ball and hold the ball up. So for me, he certainly is more like a Tolu than a Strand Larsen. And whilst, if I go back to a point that was made earlier by Ben, who was making a point about having Gomez and Andre in the middle, I don't care what team you play in. I've coached for a number of years. You always want to stretch play. You never want to go so defensive that your attackers are sitting halfway from the halfway line back to the goal. So from my point of view, we've always got to have a target man or 2. And if we're going to fight between now and the end of the season, we certainly aren't going to do it by getting people in that either don't know the Premier League, aren't up for the fight, or are actually going to sit on the edge of the 6-yard box. So I don't know.
Well, I think you summed that up absolutely fantastic, mate. Really, really good. So Kalajic obviously coming back could be. I'll go to Craig next, and then I will go Ben and Aidan to get your thoughts on the January transfer window, and obviously with one eye for what's happening for the rest of the season. Kalajic, if we go into the Championship, Craig, do you fancy him?
Paul's just been absolutely spot on, and clearly a guy that's been around the game, played the game, and coached the game. We got bullied a lot yesterday. We got players that were not willing to show the physical side of the game, and that's something that I really hate. If you're going to go and have a fight, you fight with everything that you've got. I saw that in the previous week against Newcastle. I didn't see that yesterday. Our recruitment team, literally over the last 3 to 4 seasons, have been woeful. They have had the occasional great buy, but mostly they have wasted money. Now, I've heard all the blame game going. It was down to the coach, and we had a new coach or whatever. But clearly, something inside Wolves with a recruitment team is a clear lack of communication, a lack of talking to each other, a lack of strategy, of vision. We have no creative midfield player to play down the centre of our team, none at all. So what do? We go to one of the most offensive teams in the Premier. We play 2 defensive midfield players that will create nothing for us, and we hope to get a 0-0. That was the strategy yesterday. Yeah, and the chances of that with our lapses in concentration in defence are literally 0. So in terms of recruitment, Paul's right. What are we missing about? Who can we bring in that's going to resolve our lack of creativity at the moment? Who is really decent and is going to make a really big change? What about saying to these players, you took us down, so your job's to get us back up, rather than letting them leave? We've had some poor management at Wolves over the last 4 years, and I'm still waiting to see the change in the decision making, because it's still poor for me. And yesterday was another extension. Why do our coaches, why do our management team keep making really poor decisions? Why?
Are you on about playing wank?
I'm on about time after time with Jeff Shi starting all the way down the club. You can see, if you've managed it all or you've played the game, the poor decisions have just gone on and on and on, and we've compounded bad decision after bad decision, and we are in this mess because of really, really poor management decisions, both in the boardroom and of the football team.
Absolutely, well said. Ben, January transfer window, looking ahead to next year, what can you see? What's your feelings? Where do you want us to end up? Are there any people out on loan at the moment that you think will be part of the team for next year? That sort of thing.
I'm kind of bemused by the lack of business that we've done so far. I think that incomings were going to be so important to either mounting a charge to stay in this league or preparing for next season. But I think that we've all seen a steady decline over the last 5 or 6 years, ever since that 2020 or 2021, I can't quite remember, season where Nuno left, COVID, etc. We've just been on a downward spiral, and the quality of the team has been severely lacking and going down to the point where we've got a lot of kind of prima donna players who don't have any sort of physicality, don't have any sort of fight. And I would be properly worried going into the Championship with this team, because I feel like players we've been talking about, players like Hwang or Arias or Chachua, I feel like they wouldn't be able to handle the physicality of the Championship and would kind of just roll over. I don't feel like they have the fighting spirit that if we had players like Neves and Jota who were constantly fighting for us and it felt like they had an impetus to work for the team. I feel like we've got a lot of fresh new recruits who don't have any of that mana that we've been talking about. They don't have any sort of passion or drive. So players like Mane will be very important for us in the future because they've come through the club and he knows what the club requires. But as far as this January goes, as far as I'm concerned, if there's anyone who isn't, you'd sit them down in the dressing room and you'd say, we're looking like we're going down. If you're not going to fight for us in the Championship, we're going to sell you and get as much money for you as possible. So that 70 million from Newcastle for Strand Larsen is looking very attractive right now. But you'd take 40 million from Leeds, you'd bite the hand off for it because he doesn't look like he would fight for us in the Championship. So yeah, I remember reading that under Nuno called Connor Cody and said that he was making a team and Cody was going to be the base at the centre, Neves was going to have the midfield built around him, and Jota was going to have the attack built around him. And it became a core of the team who were structurally strong and knew what they were doing and had a lot of passion for the club. And I feel like that needs to be reinstated with probably different people. But if the players who we've currently got are happy to do that, then I'd love for them to do that. But I just can't really see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make some good points. When Rob says there's no one banging on the door wanting to leave, that doesn't mean to say that if, they won't be looking to move on if and when Wolves go down or there's something comes in. That I think what he's trying to say is that there is that fight and passion and mentality, and I can see that with what Rob's saying because the improvements. I know we lost to City yesterday, and Rob made the decision for what you quite rightly said, and what I think we all think. He thinks, right, we're going to sit back. We're going to put my fastest players up, and then we'll break. And the game plan was over in 7 minutes. And the goal just before the end of the first half was a killer, because had we somehow managed to get into 1-0, it would have given City a little bit more to think about. But they always had that cushion. And then the last sort of 15, 20 minutes when we finally got those players on the pitch where the ball was sticking and we were starting again a lot we did against the end of Everton, against Liverpool, against United. We were the team against Arsenal as well. We were the team that was on top, and you saw Manchester City players celebrating blocks and stuff like that. But again, we started really, really slow. And at this point in time, when we're going to talk, obviously, bring you on in a minute, Aidan, for the Championship. I think people can see that they're fighting more and they're playing more together because, like you said earlier in the season, we got rolled over 4-0 and stuff like that, and we're hanging in games and their heads aren't going. But we have to win matches, don't we? We have to win games right now. Sitting and getting a point, you might as well go all in right now, try and get the win or lose, because if you win 1 out of 2, that's better than 2 points in 2 draws, isn't it? So I think Rob hopefully will have learned something from that exercise yesterday, and we'll hopefully see a difference going forward. But obviously, we'll wait and see. Aidan, transfer window, and just before we get to that, Harry, we will ask you a question at the end. There's going to be a Q&A at the end. Who else do you think will go down? We'll put that onto the Q&A at the end for you, because if you've got some questions, we will ask the pundits that as well. Aidan, your thoughts on this transfer window, the last 8 days, and where you think we'll end up?
To be honest, I haven't really been too bothered about the transfer window. I mean, I just don't know who you can convince to join us at the minute. And how what Rob says is he's not going to buy players kind of for the sake of it. It's got to fit his idea and where we are in the season. And you don't want to just be signing anyone who's got no experience in the Premier League and how to get us out of this situation. I always think about if we could get rid of Hwang and bring in Josh Sargent, that'd be all right. But yeah, I just think the main focus needs to be just focusing on the summer, focus on the players who actually want to fight and stick with us. It's a shame about Larsen really, because he is a great player and he proved that last season with the quality around him. But I think a lot of people expect him to be this Cunha, like Aït-Nouri type player who can pick up the ball and run at players, beat a man. And he's never been actually like great at winning those aerial duels. And you give him a chance in the box, he's scoring. I mean, it was only Shrewsbury, but he took every one of his chances. And if we could get him back to that, I'd rather have him for the remainder of the season. Try and get him back to scoring. If he could get 5 or 6 goals towards the end of the season, I think it's worth sticking, keeping him around instead of maybe, I don't know, because we've still got so much on his contract. I know we'll be in the Championship, and the price might be down, but I don't know. I just don't think there's any rush to get in any randomers. The players linked have been, Sam Surridge. He's done well in the MLS, but that's the MLS. He didn't set the world alight in the Championship. If these are the players that we're being linked to, like, I don't see the point really. But yeah, I mean, I just think, Hwang's not good enough. Jackson's not good enough. They're the players kind of, letting us down at the minute. When you look at us yesterday, it's just like counter-attack after counter-attack. Like, that's just Jackson in the final third, turning around, getting onto his left foot. It's just like, you're the fastest player in the Premier League, take your man on. So I'd be looking at Lima and Rodrigo Gomez, try and get them up to speed, get them the confidence. And, going into the summer, I think we should be looking at them too, starting in the Championship. And, yeah, just focus on the players who actually want to be with us next season. And, I think he's starting to get his team together a bit, looking more confident. So, yeah, just kind of build on that. That's the main thing.
And I think you make some really good points there. Is Rob, obviously, he's still only been here a short period of time. He's still learning a lot about the players. We have got players like Tommy Doyle, Boubacar Traoré, Kalajic, and players like that are out on loan. I mean, Tommy Doyle, for example, if Birmingham do go up, they have an option to buy. If they don't go up, Tommy Doyle will probably be back at, and we talked about this last week, will probably be back at Compton. And he's definitely going to be a Rob Edwards type of player. Vitor Pereira didn't, but Rob Edwards, I'm 100% sure he's going to want Tommy Doyle as part of that. And if you've ever watched Tommy Doyle, my dad loves him. My dad absolutely loves him. Always gave him man of the match, even if he's on for 5 minutes. But he plays with heart. He plays 150%. And talking about what you guys have been talking about, those are the type of players you want to be in the fight. And if Tommy Doyle gets properly played next year and feels like he's part of this team, then maybe he'll be a good one to come in. And Boubacar Traoré is not a bad little player either. So that we have got players out there. Obviously, there'll be players that will go. There is an argument, I've heard it said, that maybe we can get a bit more money in. I mean, the lights just run out on my thing, so I've got a bit darker. Maybe we'll can get a little bit more money this window. But also, Wolves are not in any struggle PSR wise. We are in a really strong position financially going into next year. Wolves haven't got to be pressured to sell like we have in like 2 or 3 years ago when we were having to sell. And okay, they've sold too many because we're ahead of the game with regards to that. So even if we go out into the Championship, we can hold on as much as possible for the price that we want. I mean, you saw I think it was Southampton that did that with one of their players. And they put £100 million price tag on. I can't remember who the player was. So just because we go down doesn't mean to say we can't still demand money. But obviously, if a player wants to go right now and someone comes in with the right bid, you feel like it would be the right time to sell. But you can't sell everyone, can you? Because you still want to end the season fighting. We've ended the last 2 seasons losing. And we've started the following season losing. So if you go into the end of the season, at least with a bit of a winning mentality, or you look more like a team, then hopefully that gives a basis to build on in the summer window and bring in the players that are going to complement the players that are going to stay, and then strengthen the squad. But Wolves financially next year should be able to be really aggressive in the transfer window. And I think this is why January is going to be such a difficult window, because as you guys have said, who wants to come to a team that's going to be going down, most likely, or got hardly a chance of going up. It's a battle, so it's difficult. So, and January is difficult anyway, but I do think things will happen over the next 8 days, whether people think that or not. I think we'll see people go and people come in, but we will be reporting on it as always here on the channel and, and covering it all off. So, we'll see what happens over the next 8 days and when the window closes, I think 7 or 8 o'clock on February the 2nd, we'll have an idea what our squad is and where we're going. Talking about all of that, before we get onto the Bournemouth game, I should just bring everyone's attention to the fact that the so-called Wolves Fan Alliance do have a meeting in the next week with our new chairman, Nathan Shi. It's something that all the fan channels podcasts have been trying to get with Jeff before he was sacked, obviously. So there is a meeting that's taking place with representatives of all of the 10 different bodies that are on that, including the trust and all the other fan channels and podcasts, which will be taking place. There is an agenda that we've put together. But guys, if you do have a specific thing that you want an answer to, in the comments, not in the chat, in the comments below this video, please leave any things that you want an answer to, because you've got Neil who's asking, will they not ask easy questions? You've got 10 people in a room that have been passionately united in forcing issues and awareness on the situation. And I'd be very disappointed if anyone would think that any of those people in there are not going to go into that meeting and ask the questions that need to be asked. Of course they are, because that's what it's all about. And, when we can report back on that, we will. But I will also point out the fact that someone pointed out that the Wolves 1877 Trust has also had a meeting with Nathan and senior staff last week. Their board met, and those minutes from that meeting will also be released shortly. They went in on their 23-point manifesto, which covered everything from club identity to the ground, to Wolves women, to transfer policy, to ambition and all that sort of stuff, and and 23 points that they were suggesting. So look, loads of people before all of this was happening were asking for the club to talk to the fans, asking for communication, asking for that narrative to think. So we should be taking positives that these things are happening, and not going, oh well, because it's happening they're trying to shut everyone up. It's like you either want communication or you don't. And when it happens, you can't really try and shut it down and say, oh, that's a bad thing. It's a good thing. These people, and there's really good people that's going to be going, and they trust me when I say it, from different backgrounds and stuff. Questions will be asked, and we will have a show next week, hopefully, where we'll have some representatives who are at that meeting to come and give their views on how they felt that went. So we'll, but if you have got any thoughts, any things that you want answers to, put it in the comment section below, and hopefully we'll be able to feedback as much on that. But also look out for the release from the trust from their minutes as well, and any statement that will come out after the meeting from all the signatories on the Wolves Fan Alliance as well. So we'll be asking the questions, and there is no question, as far as I've been told, that is off the table that we can't ask. They're there to answer the questions, and we will also be pushing as part of that for wider fan engagement going forward as well. So let's see what happens out of all of these things. So, it's been a tough time, but at least that people are talking and listening, and ultimately words are one thing and it'll be actions that will be the ultimate thing, but things do take a time to clear a mess up. So let's see where that goes. We're going to do Q&A in a second, We're going to do Q&A in a second, where you'll be able to ask any questions. But I'm going to start with Aidan first. Bournemouth next week at home. What's your thoughts? Score prediction?
Yeah, Bournemouth have been a bit of a weird team this season. Quite inconsistent. I don't know too much about them, but I know defensively they haven't been great. But yeah, I mean, I like their manager. I like their style of play from what they achieved last season. But I mean, obviously, it'll be a closer game because we're at home, not playing Man City as well. But yeah, I mean, got to back the boys. I mean, I think I'll go 2-1 Wolves. Get back to winning ways. Yeah, I don't know too much about Bournemouth, but you know, I just seen how inconsistent they've been. Great result against Liverpool yesterday as well. So
yeah, they did. Great last-minute winner as well. I was kind of hoping they'd lose, to be honest, because Bournemouth, I've felt as like they might be on a bit of a bad run. I think Crystal Palace seem to be the team that's coming from nowhere and getting sucked in. And who would have thought that 2 or 3 months ago? Ben, your thoughts ahead of the game?
I kind of just echo what Aidan said. I don't know that much about them apart from the fact that they've just been completely up and down, getting random wins against Liverpool and then losing other matches that they really should be winning. I'd have to back us and say 2-1 as well, to be honest. At home, you would hope that the fans will be able to get behind us and they'll be more forceful and hopefully we'd be able to push on again. Because playing Man City, obviously, you're not going into it expecting it you're not expecting to really come out with anything. But the performance was still quite encouraging because it could have been a lot worse, and it was at the beginning of the season. So I think there's some stuff to push off there. So I'd say, yeah, 2-1.
Nice one. Craig?
If he picks the right side and we go for them from the off, from the first minute, could be 2-0, 3-0, 3-1. If we sit back and they score first, we'll lose, because that's the sort of side they are. They grow in confidence when they get ahead. So we've got to go for them right from the off. And Rob's got to start being brave. That's my view.
Fantastic. And Paul?
I think everybody has pretty much said what I was going to say. Yeah, like the 2 points everybody made, and that is, if we go ahead, I think we'll end up winning 2-0. I think if we go behind, it's going to be a struggle, and we could end up losing 2-1. But I'm going to be real positive. I'm going to try and manifest this week that Arias, Chit Chat, and Huang aren't going to start. and I'm going to say we're going to win 2-0.
Right, I'd love it. And I think at this stage now that we're at, draws are no good. I know we're not technically down, and we almost certainly are going to go down. But if there's any hope at all, we have to be winning games. We can't. We have to win. There's draws are no good. So you need to put, if we've got any hope at all of putting a string of wins together. So for me, I just think you've just got to be. I think our back five are quite settled now. I quite like, well, the back four of the back five, shall I say. I like Hugo. I love Kalajic, not Kalajic, Kreschke. I think he's fantastic, and I hope we keep him for next year. Santiago Bueno is coming of age. I remember Sutty saying a couple of years ago he's going to come good, and he really is starting to come good. And Yerson Mosquera, I absolutely love that bloke. He's such. I just love his attitude, and he's got some. He's got, what's that word that you called? You had earlier, Paul.
Mana.
He's got the spirit. I love that. So that four, Chit Chat, as you call him, he had a great game, defensive game the other week. But I'm not sure about him.
Yeah, Dave, you said when I talked to you at the end of the Newcastle game, I did say to you, he played almost as half a player.
Yeah.
The thing is, at his best, he's only half a player.
Yeah.
I do think it's time to bring in Rodrigo Gomez and just move Chit Chat.
I think so as well. I think Rodrigo's probably going to start, and I think we'll start to see a little bit of young Lima as well, because if these players are going to be part of our team for next year, you've got to start bedding them in. Obviously, Rodrigo's been injured, so he's starting to injure. And the one thing you get from Rodrigo Gomez, he gets that Malo or whatever it's called that you call it. Mano that he plays with a smile on his face as well, and he gives 100%. And those are the type of players that you want, players that want to play for the club. So I do think if that back line is something to build on. Personally, Ben, I want to see Gomez and more attacking options up front next week. Maybe Bellegarde will be in, just because we've got to get if we might as well lose swinging, sit back. We've got to start winning games. So for me, we've got to go all out and score the goals. And if we win 3-2, then at least we get the 3 points. But we'll see what happens with that. Guys, we're coming up to the last 10 minutes of the show. So if you've got any questions that you want answering right now, it could be favourite pizza topping. Are you going on holiday anywhere? It could be questions about the team. Anything at all for any of the pundits and fans that we've got on at the moment. Now's the time that you can ask those questions. And we'll do a quick Q&A. But before I get to your questions, I just want to ask everyone their favourite recommendation to watch at the moment. I've just finished watching tonight the last episode, the finale of Stranger Things. I absolutely love it. I've watched it from series 1 all the way through. Bit of a geek fan of Stranger Things. So I'm going to put Stranger Things out there. Aidan, you've got anything?
Trying to think of something I've watched recently. I watched, I don't know if it's a bit of a niche one. It's you know It the Clown. They did a spin-off series recently called Welcome to Derry. And if you like Stranger Things, it's kind of a similar vibe. It's a bit more like of a horror, but I really enjoyed it. So that's what I'd recommend. Welcome to Derry.
Love it. Ben, you got one?
I'm not sure how recently I watched it, but I'd be doing a disservice to my brother if I didn't say Severance, which is a sci-fi. I don't really know how to explain it, but if you've seen it, you get it, kind of thing. But it's been nominated for everything under the sun, and that was great.
Why would you be doing a disservice?
Because he recommended it to us, and he was very proud that we all absolutely fell in love with it. Because
I thought you were going to say he was in it for a second.
No, not quite.
Craig, you got anything? No, Craig, I know you spend 6 hours a day in doing scores for your band and stuff, so I'm not sure whether you watch much TV, but...
Mr. Mercedes.
Mr. Mercedes, what's that about?
It's a guy that Mr. Mercedes is a sicko, but he's a sicko on another level, and he enjoys hurting people, and basically it's a story around his mental cruelty and the police and authorities' attempts to first of all track him down, but then to get him. But it then goes to another level when they finally get him.
Okay, Mr. Mercedes. Paul, for you?
Crikey. I must admit, don't watch a huge amount of TV. The only two things I sort of have watched that I've enjoyed, House is probably the best thing I've ever seen. Yeah. And I can watch it over and over again. And the other thing is with my other son, Ethan, Superstore, which is an American comedy series, and it's just a bit of fun, and it sort of takes the mickey out of woke.
Love it. We're going to get to some Q&As now. David Newham says, can you stream the fans group meeting with Nathan Shi? If there's nothing to why can't be filled the way we make it? No, is the answer to that. This is a private meeting. We will be, of course, as part of that, talking about further fan engagement and stuff like that. Maybe something like that will come down the line. But, the club have an obligation to meet with the fans advisory board. We do agree. I do personally agree with a lot of people and the trust that the fans advisory board have got members on there, good fans, but the communication down to the fans and onto the fans advisory board is not very good. The minutes aren't advertised very well. things like that. Obviously, I'd love to see something like they used to do, like an open forum where loads of fans can go. They recently did have a meeting with about 50, 60 fans on the 150th anniversary, which was good. So there are things starting to happen, but hopefully more of those type of things will come forward. But we can't stream that. This is a private meeting to start with all the representatives of the fan group. So sorry about that, but maybe down the line something like that can be organised. Question from Rebecca. Oh yeah, okay. Here's one from the panel. We'll start with we'll go Aidan, Passionate Paul, Craig, and then Ben. If there was one question, it's a good question. This is Aidan. If Nathan Shi was watching or you were in that room, what question would you ask?
God, actually,
come back to you. Think.
Yeah,
Paul?
come back to me. Yeah, true.
I'd probably ask is there something in Huang's contract that says, do I have to play every week?
I like that. Craig?
Why is it taking Fosun Group and Guo so long to call out the absolute total incompetence and the idiocy of Jeff Shee's chairmanship at Wolves? Why is it taking so long to do something about it when it's clear to everybody the man was an incompetent buffoon?
Fantastic. Ben?
I'd probably want to ask him what he personally. Well, yeah, I'd ask him what he personally. Well, it kind of piggybacks off it. What he personally would do to maintain a level of relationship with the fans, because Jeff Shi became so unbelievably out of touch. I'd want Nathan Shi. I'd want him to be seen not so detached as Jeff Shi was. He was kind of this mystical figure who just made all these decisions. I'd want someone who it felt like he was one of us that we could talk to. So I'd want to know what he could do to maintain that.
Great. Aidan, back to you.
How are you going to make us an attractive club to join again? And you know how we were originally when Fosun and Jeff Shi came in. Is that the project he sold? We were very ambitious. How is it? What's his plans for bringing that ambition back and convincing these your Neves, your Jotas, to come to Wolves when we're in the Championship?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Hopefully that's answered your question. Rebecca, Yoski 77 has a question for Aidan. He wants to know, or she wants to know, what are your thoughts on the standard of officiating in the Premier League, Aidan?
They're a joke, mate. They're a joke. Amateurish, all corrupt. VAR, disgrace, get it gone. What else can I say? The officiating, they're lazy, aren't they? They think it's all about them. They think we come to the games to watch them when no one cared. No one looks at the referees. No one wants to be like a referee when they get older. They're just there to... Might as well get robots in. No one cares. I can't stand it.
I like this boy.
I like it, Aidan. Question from Carl, one of our members, and we, hopefully some of you are watching. If you want to support the channel, we'd love to have you as a member. We have a private Discord group. You talk to the chat to all of us in there. Craig's on there. Sutty's in our members group as well. We get to chat with them every day. And about 60 others, to be honest, and some really, really wonderful people who become really good friends. Carl's one of our members, because that's why he's got the little wolf head. Question, we'll go Paul first again. What football ground would you like to go to that you've never been to, Paul?
I'm without boasting, I'm actually fairly lucky. I've been to a lot of grounds around the world, and me and Danny, whenever we come over, we try and go to different grounds all the time. So, for example, Saturday we went to Stevenage. Tuesday night we're going down to Lincoln. And we go around, National League as well as through the divisions and Premier League. One I haven't been to, goodness sake, probably Roma's ground. I've not been to. I've seen the outside. I've not been inside.
Roma, fantastic.
It's lovely. It's lovely.
Oh, really?
I've been to England, play Italy there, rugby union about 3 times. It's just a great ground. You'll love it when you go. You need to go.
Okay. Excellent.
Craig, what's your answer?
The Emirates. I think, Dave. Every time I've got my ticket, I've had to give it away because I've been banned in. So yeah, Emirates. I'd like to go down there.
And you did the Etihad for the first time yesterday.
Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah, I missed that, didn't I, last season because of conducting. So yeah, afraid so.
That's the problems of being an elite level conductor and composer, Craig.
Yeah, right.
Ben.
Me and my dad have actually only ever been. Well, my dad's been to other games, but together I've only ever been to Molineux to watch matches. I'd like to go and see it with a fresh lick of paint, and a refurbished Molineux would be ideal. But
I can tell you that Molineux and infrastructure will be on the agenda for the meeting that's been thinking. So that will be something that will be brought up on as well about plans for that.
Yeah, but failing that, probably something like the Hawthorns for a derby match. That would be great. Because going from only having been in the nice friendly Molineux, going to see something a bit out there might be interesting.
Nice one. Aidan?
It's a bit of a niche one actually, but I've got a weird interest in Bodo Glimt, the team that just beat Man City.
yeah.
I just like their ground. I like the look of their ground, and as a team, I just find them really interesting. Like, I've never been to Norway, but I want to go to Norway as well. So I just think it'd be a really cool place to visit and ground. And Bodo Glimt, and also Bournemouth as well, just because that's the last ground I need to tick off on the Premier League.
That's a great answer as well.
Yeah.
That's Bodo Glimt. I didn't expect that to come up, but
honestly, it's just one of them weird obsessions. Yeah.
We've got a question here, which is from Aaron on Facebook. What beer would you recommend? Very quick fire answers. Go with Craig first. Would you recommend when Wolves next win a game? Quick fire answer.
Yes, Snake Venom. It's 65.5% ABV, and it is a beer. But it's sold in 33 centiliter bottles, and it's £50 a bottle. But Snake Venom.
Living out. Okay, Paul.
Steinlager.
Who?
Steinlager.
Yeah. Aidan.
I'm gluten intolerant these days, so I'd say a gluten-free Peroni would have to do. But I don't know. Back in the day, I like a Moretti on a nice summer's day. So Moretti on draft.
Moretti, I do like a Moretti. Yeah. Ben.
Just turned 18. I don't drink, so but I think whatever Jeff Shi was drinking was strong enough, so I'd probably have a few of those.
Fantastic, love it. Question now for charismatic Craig. Matthew Jarman wants to know, Craig, what genre of music is your band in?
Well, we're a brass band, but we play anything from Queen to Puccini, bespoke brass band music, classics, rock, heavy rock. We're just rehearsing it at the moment. It's a Monster from King Kong, which is a really heavy rock piece. Who Wants to Live Forever, Queen. So yeah, loads of stuff, and it's a really nice sound. You can imagine 29 brass players playing at around about 121 decibels, which is pretty loud, pretty powerful, and it's great to stand in front of.
Fantastic. Well, I think that pretty much concludes. Rebecca's just said, which we appreciate it. Fantastic panel again. Thank you all. Have a great evening and a great week. It's been a really lovely show. Lots of good points discussed. As I say, when the live ends in a minute, if you have got any specific points that you want answers to, we'll do our best. Obviously, there's 10 people there. It's probably going to be a 2-hour meeting. All the fans are going there with the best intentions to represent everyone's questions and views and try and get as much of a feeling on where we're at and answers to as many questions as can be. But if you've got any things that you definitely want to put when we close the live, put the comments below, or you can email admin at alwayswolves.co.uk. If you don't want to put it in the comments, you can drop an email in. We have one final question. So when we finish the Quidditch, one final question. I think it's a good one to finish on. Craig, who will be the top two in the championship this time next year?
Oh, easy. If we start making good decisions, we'll be there. I think also Blues and us will be pretty runaway, if I'm being honest.
Ben?
I would hope that we'd be up there if we assume that we're going down, and potentially someone like West Ham, because I can see them going down and getting dragged into it as well.
Yeah, Aidan.
Spurs and Wolves, maybe.
Spurs and Wolves. I love it.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, West Ham will come down with us, and I reckon Wolves will win the league, and then West Ham second.
Nice one. And Paul, finally.
I got a feeling actually Forest might go down instead of West Ham, but so maybe it's us and Forest. If they don't go up this year, I kind of quite like it to be us and the Bantams.
The
Bradford City.
Bradford, yeah. Yeah, interesting. Right, guys. Well, it's been a great show. As I say, drop any questions for this meeting in the comments and anything else that you want to talk about on the show, and we will do our best, along with all the other great people that are going to that meeting, to ask the questions that you want. And believe me, nothing's off the agenda or anything like that. It's an open meeting, and obviously there is stuff that we need to do in the right way, but it'll be done. Everything will be asked, and there's nothing off the agenda. So leave it in the comment section below, and obviously the trust minutes of the trust meeting will be out at some point as well. I want to say a big thank you to Craig. We did end up going for a nice Italian at the end. It was a very nice Italian after we got back from the match with the girls last night, which was great. Love to you, Paul, and the family. I know you got some of the family coming over from New Zealand soon, and of course, all the best to Down Under Dan for one day being in our midfield and continuing his journey to become a pro footballer. Aidan, thank you very much for coming on. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I did. Really good.
Yeah.
I'd happily do it again.
And maybe see you and your dad at the Bournemouth game, because I've been messaging your dad about that, so that'd be cool. Yes. And Ben, listen, I just want to say to you and to all the writers, we are ever so grateful for the hard work that you do. And Emma really rates you guys on the writing that you do, fan writing. There's no paywall on our website that you have to pay to go and read any of these fantastic articles. They're by proper fans that care about the club. They all have different opinions, player ratings, match reports, things learned, history articles. There's everything in between. Ben, you write really, really well. Please check out Ben's article on alwayswolves.co.uk. It's a great read. And if you do want to become a writer for the channel and get involved with deep dive articles, opinion pieces, or even if you want to start to get involved with coming onto these sort of shows, get in touch with us on socials, Always Wolves socials, or email the producer at admin@alwayswolves.co.uk. It's been a great show tonight. We'll have a big show next Sunday, I'm sure, because there'll be the aftermath of everything that's happened that week. But from all of us to all of you, love to you and your families wherever you are in the world. Thanks for supporting. Thanks if you've hit us a like and follow tonight. And until the next one, always Wolves.
Always Wolves.